All right.
Yes, yes, I hear you. Want to get going?
Give me like half a second to kind of. I ran the door.
How's the coffee?
Oh man, it's gnarly for me, man. It's like a you know.
Do you add a shot of espresso or anything?
Now I just get just Americano black. All right. I'm not quite ready still. Your background is much cooler than mine. I'm not.
Yeah, yeah, give us that.
Hello, artwork. Can't
For
quite get
those
me
of
today.
of you listening, Dave, what kind of art do you have hanging behind you?
Oh, that's Lindsay Jacobus. What's it called when you make an artist paint for you? Commission. This is the first painting I've ever commissioned, and yeah, it's 1993 in Raleigh. The dudes from Endless Grind are having some kind of debate with an officer, and they have no idea that 30 something years later, they're on the wall in Peru.
And the aesthetic of the clothes is just so unique to the time period. And
Yet it is.
we're going to get into all that. So, let's roll. This is episode 24, Speaking from Water. I'm your host, Sean Rutke. And guys, today we have a very special treat. We have a true philosopher of surfing with us. He has been around since the early 80s, paying attention to the aesthetic that is surfing. He is a mathematician, an expert in the subject, currently teaching in Peru, surfing big waves, teaching the elite children of Peru. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Dave Dorosko. Dave, thank you very much for joining us today.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Sean, for having me. Let's do it.
Dave, um, let's just go to this place of surfing. We've had lots of chats in the past about what it is. I would like you to explain, or from your perspective, what surfing is.
Okay. God, you always hit me with the hardest question. Okay, surfing. Um, Dude, it's crazy. I've never thought about trying to define this before, but like I've got a movie I've been working on for ages, and I'm trying to figure out what love is, and I throw the camera in people's face and I say, "What is love?" and put them on the spot, and I get the best reactions, and it's crazy because I can't really. Everybody knows what love is, but it's hard to define. And math is like that too. A couple of years ago, I started tripping that I don't know. I'm a math teacher, but I don't really know what math is, and I really thought on it for a long time. And I ask my kids at the start of every year, and I ask other math teachers. And I've been working on it, but you just absolutely stumped me. I've
Well,
got
we
some answers, like I've got some pre-made answers that are like related to that, but like, what? I mean, you're playing on waves, and it's something really special. And when you ever try to explain why it's special, it usually doesn't sound good because you come up so short. Like when I hear people try to talk about why they love surfing, not necessarily define it, why they love surfing. If you dictated it and hit true false, I'd hit true to everything, but it still makes me cringe hearing them say it because they're coming so short, you know. But dude, I don't even know where I'm going with this. Next question.
okay. What isn't surfing?
What isn't surfing? Being stuck in traffic, hanging out in the airport. I mean, I guess it can be if you really got it like that, you know. I can't remember what video it was, but I saw a video of some old dude who he was sitting on the beach somewhere, and it just clicked that he didn't have to paddle out anymore, and he just mind surfed for about 10 years, and one day he felt like getting wet and paddled back out, and I remember loving that. like the dude just figured out how to surf without being able to surf. And I think I remembered a little bit, not in my answer to what is surfing, but where I was going with that before. Playing on waves. So we're playing on waves. Right now we're playing with waves. Like I'm looking at this stuff in the background of you, and it's got color, and I can see the color, and I'm wondering. I think that's just, but it's those are waves, that I'm seeing, light waves that are helping me with the color. And to hear me, these are sound waves. And then like people talk about vibes and stuff. There's clearly waves that come out of us, like you can tell when somebody's irritated, or you can tell when somebody's stoked. That there's definitely some kind of waves there that we all know are there, but we hadn't figured out how to measure. And I think there's heaps of other kinds of waves that we haven't even thought of that are out there. But just obviously waves are really important. And it seems to me that the ocean has the slowest or gentlest or easiest waves to really, really interact with. So I don't really know what I'm saying. I know it doesn't completely make sense, but there's, we're exchanging stuff with sound waves, we're exchanging stuff with light waves. And to have a slow moving wave that, rolls from when North Swell comes past Hawaii and a week later hits Peru, and we're playing on something like sound and light, So I just know that it's really, really special, but obviously I don't think anybody can really lock it down, or hasn't yet for me.
So you don't think the question, what is surfing, can really be answered?
I guess that's what I'm saying. Oh man, I don't, just flying down a wave, like yelling with your friends, feeling the ocean, I mean, just at Wrightsville, floating in the water at C Street or the South End, it has a different feel. And if you go all the way down to Carolina Beach, it's got a way different feel, And then if you fly over to Oregon and you climb over some trees, and the waves are splashing off the rocks, and you're looking up at all the green, there's like I don't know, you're just crashing into nature. Yeah.
So do you need to ride a surfboard to ride a wave?
No, for sure. Like I was talking about that hippie dude I saw in that movie. Like I believe that completely. You can mind surf. My body won't really let me skate anymore, and I used to be really bummed on that for a long time. But I really believe that like it's a lens to interpret life. Like I still feel like I'm a skateboarder, even though I can't really roll around physically on my board. But no, I mean you can body surf, you can ride all sorts of boards, you can be on the wave, you can be on the beach. And I think if you really got it going on, you could take it to the airport or take it to traffic. I'm not really there yet, but I really think that it's that it just starts on the wave, and you can take it with you.
Can you tell us about when it was that you first discovered the culture of surfing and knew that this was something special?
Man, I think it was like it's really weird. It's really weird, but I think it's like I was almost born with it or something. My very, very first little intro, my dad had a little wooden skateboard with little teeny trucks. I think it might play, looked like they were made out of cement, had little ball bearings, but that was just in the garage, and I just gravitated to that. I was super little. Little enough that I was skating down the road in my whitey tighties, and that was okay. But I'd roll up and down my road on that, and I really didn't know what surfing was at all. I had my dad was a good body surfer, and my parents had a little condo actually they had two, one at the north end and south end of Carolina Beach, the Riggings and the Breakers. I can't remember which is which, but like I would ride on I'd hang onto my dad's neck and ride on waves, but I don't think I'd ever even seen a surfboard. But anyway, I'm riding his little skateboard up and down the road, and there's a white house lansdowne on the corner of Yorkshire and Dover. And in the garage, there was a yellow single fin, and it just called to me. Like I was so stoked. Every time the garage door was open, I'd stare at it. And I used to bang on the neighbors' doors and sweep their front porch and their sidewalk for a quarter. I remember saving up like $8, and I can't remember. I think I did knock on the door, and he didn't want to sell it, but maybe not. Maybe I never even went over there, but I wanted that, what it was. And then getting around to getting any waves, it's like a lot of people, it started with bodyboarding. Shannon and Jake Miller, gnarly rippers. They're awesome surfers and awesome bodyboarders, but our parents were friends, and we go to the beach with the Millers, and they kind of got us into it. And I remember my first bodyboard, it was a yellow Aussie 1 Moray Boogie without a hard bottom. And then we went to K&K Toys at Independence Mall, and Michael got a fresh new one, and it was an Aussie 2. And the difference was it had a little bit of a fishtail, and his was bright orange, mine was yellow. They were both white on the bottom and didn't have a hard bottom. Of course, no flippers. But man, we would ride waves, and just we couldn't really go down line, I don't think, but we'd cut back and forth in the white water, and we'd high five each other. And it was everything, man, the exact same as it is now, you know? I mean, it was just, I knew this wasn't a toy. I knew I wasn't playing. Like, it was everything.
And when was it then that you got your first surfboard and rode your first wave? Do you remember that?
Yeah, man. I knew this was going to come up, so I've been preparing for this, trying to find the first board. Me and Michael got some hollow plastic thing at Reddix that I think it was made for dragging behind a boat, and it didn't really have a fin. It had like something about like this long, like kind of like almost like a 2x4 sticking out of the bottom of it. But we didn't have much success on that. I remember going to Surf City, and we got, I can't pronounce the dude's last name. I always called it Scroff my whole life, and I recently found out Peter Scroff. It's not pronounced Scroff. I can't remember how you say his name, but he's the dude with the chainsaws right now. I don't know if you've seen him, that like really hates Kelly Slater and does the performance art where he's cutting up the fire wires. Really, really, really interesting dude. But he was kind of like Sean Stussey's like competitor. I think they were in like the same neighborhood, maybe in Newport or something. 80s. But anyway, I got a quad fin for 35 bucks. It was yellow on top and had like 2 tank treads on it. But I got clowned really hard for having the quad fin. Like nobody seen the quad fin. It's like twin fins, single fins, thumbs down. You got to have a thruster. I had the quad fin. I was getting laughed at. And Michael,
what year was this?
Late 80s. I'm probably 5th grade, maybe a little, maybe 4th, I don't know. But Michael got the Quiet Flight twin fin, which was way prettier, but he still got clowned for having 2 fins. And we waxed up the bottom of the board. We waxed up the fins for speed, and we got out there. We didn't know what, you know, nobody's telling us anything. And I think Michael says we got it quicker. Maybe he did, but I think it took me 2 years to stand up. Like I had to, I wasn't like Shannon and Jake and just instantly killing it, you know? Like, I mean, it took we just paddle out, it'd be completely flat. We'd be like, paddle out farther, you know? And it took us a minute to figure it out. I think actually the first time I stood up, it might've been at Hamlet Street at C, and I was on my neighbor's board. I was on this WRV, and I think I surfed past Michael, and he might've been on a bodyboard, and he grabbed my leash, and I was so tiny. And it was probably like a 6'4". It's like my neighbor was like 16. I remember this white WRV with the blue logo, but Michael's like holding on to the leash, and it didn't make me fall or anything. I was like pulling him along at Hamlet Street. And then that could have been the first time, or me and Michael definitely had a day in front of Station 1 where we were both standing up like consistently. We were on the Scroff. I know I'm saying it wrong. Sorry, Peter Scroff. I'm sure you're not watching. But Michael's on the Quiet Flight, and I remember I was cheating like crazy though. I'd pop up drop knee because I bodyboarded, you know, and then I'd get my back foot up and ride the whitewater. But you know, we were stoked.
That's funny you say that. This green Scott right here. This was the first board that I attempted to ocean ride waves with, and it was always a stand up situation.
Let me see that. Let me see the bottom of it.
I had to have the Quicksilver sticker because I was obsessed with Jimmy Slade on Baywatch, and Kelly Slater had that. And I was like, I gotta, if I have that, I'm gonna have more power. And this was the first object that I took into the Ocean City, so I can totally relate to the And for those of you listening and not watching, that is a Green Scott the Edge bodyboard, and it had slick edges. And I thought, ooh, that's gonna make me just go flying down the wave. And I would really try to stand up on it because I knew surfing was premium in my mind compared to bodyboarding. I know that's a controversial topic, but always standing, I believe, to be better than laying down. But I wasn't there yet. So I knew I needed to go. Can you kind of say something about that kind of thought process in a young person when they approach the ocean? They might not have a surfboard, but they want to stand up on something.
Um, Man, honestly, I didn't have that. I didn't really care. I mean, I just wanted to ride waves, and it was such a struggle for me. I never considered standing on my bodyboard until I was like much older and better at surfing, and then I kind of enjoyed it. But at the time, other people could do it, but yeah, I didn't even consider it. But I do absolutely trip on old bodyboards. I was stoked just to look at that thing. There's so many different ones, but the turbos, they were super expensive. The turbo Hawaii, and they had the extra hard bottom and some of those weird graphics on top. But I
They
tripped
also
on
made
bodyboards.
they had fins too. They made turbo fins, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. The a big I wanted to talk about my second bodyboard because it was really everything, man. Like Bird Surf Shop, $65, a low end Wave Rebel. It wasn't one of the pro models or anything. It was blue and white, but dude, that slick bottom on the it made all the difference. I mean, it just opened the ocean, opened the universe up for me. And I remember I decorated it myself. No Quicksilver stickers. I had a big peace sign drawn on the bottom, and I had flames, like the peace sign was on fire. And I'm trying to remember, the Gulf War was sixth grade, so this is getting pretty close. I remember I had "Blood's worth more than oil" written on my backpack, but I think that the flaming peace sign was a political kind of thing. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I just thought it was cool looking. And then there was a Rusty video called "No Thrills, Caution," and that just like grabbed me when I read that title. I was like, sick. So I had "No thrills for the cautious" written on the nose to like remind myself to charge and not pull back or whatever. And I didn't have flippers yet. I had the webbed gloves, and I kind of wiped the water off my nose, and it would like rash up the tip of my nose. But I had those webs; they were sick.
So when did you transfer to the surfboard?
Probably full on when I was 17 or 18, my senior year of high school. Like I had surfboards around the house, um, but I couldn't let go of bodyboarding because I was better at it, I had to like give up so much waves and give up so much rods. So I was like struggling. I was bodyboarding and surfing. I guess it was I was skateboarding a lot, and the skateboarding really made me have to jump over full time to the surfing. But yeah, I remember ninth grade. I think I had a pretty good run of no bodyboarding, and I actually got a hold of a long. And it was like it seemed like I'd be like 91 or something, but it seemed like you just did not see longboards. They didn't really have them for sale much in the shops. But I got a $35 board off the Morning Star Classifieds. Went down to Carolina Beach, got it from some dude. He slid out from under the trailer. It was a single fin. It was black on the bottom, and it was zebra striped on the top, and said the Sultan, and the T was sword. But I remember having some killer sessions I remember one summer, it just seemed like it wouldn't stop. Every morning, early morning, that South End was killer. I remember Carl Wallen being out there and his dad. It might have been the first time I ever saw Carl, but both of them were ripping. But yeah, and then somehow 16 or so, I faded back into bodyboarding. There were a lot of sick bodyboarders to look up to too. There were a lot of characters. There was a dude Taco who he worked in the restaurants. He was a lot older than me. Worked in the restaurants at Wrightsville, and he never came out unless it was pumping. You only saw him like once or twice a year, and he'd be way out the back, and he had this crazy technique of catching waves like a kickboard in the pool. He'd have his face in the water, and he would be on the sickest part of the wave, way out the back, and come through, and he'd pop up, and he could do a headstand on his bodyboard. He's just cooking on the wave of the day, doing a headstand. That would blow my mind. Phil Williams and Jess Johnson. Jess was always doing crazy stuff. There was a dude, Tommy Manning. He was sponsored by Wave Rebel. I remember him doing a double barrel roll at C Street on top of that day, and it blew my mind. Jimmy, who owns or just sold the skate barn, he was sponsored at bodyboarding, and he was really gnarly. And then there was a whole flock of dudes at Carolina Beach. Dude, there was a guy, W.K. Kennedy. He had a Dodge pickup truck with a rag top, like a convertible pickup truck, and you could press a button and the thing would come up, and the dude could he'd be at Pelican Watch, just laying the Mach 7 on a rail, drop knee. It was beautiful. And then, yeah, heaps of dudes down there that were Larry and Mike Brown. Larry Brown's big old dude, saw him do a drop knee air at Sun Skipper. But yeah, the bodyboarding amped me up. Still does.
Well, this is a really interesting point I want to hone down on right now, because you seem to have stayed with this bodyboarding on the East Coast because of the amount of waves you could catch. Do I have this right?
I mean, just that I did, yeah, because I wouldn't eat shit, I'd make every wave and everything, It was just a bummer to fall, and I guess I just wouldn't. I was lazy, I don't. I just
I mean, this is
or maybe it was
before
my pride, I liked being like in the. I wasn't the best, but I was like pretty decent at bodyboarding, where I was garbage at surfing.
Well, in this time period, the short boards could only probably still catch the same amount of waves as they could today. But today there's a lot more longboards, as you say, and foam boards, which is a wave riding vehicle that you've were one of the first to ride, I believe, the BZ foam board later in life. So
Yeah,
and then the Wave Storm, of course. So it's like you traded the being cool part, say, that I was searching for when I was a young idolizing Kelly Slater and the Baywatch. But you were like, I'm going to catch as many waves as I can. I don't care what it is. It's going to be on a bodyboard. And then later on, you went to the foam board. Do I have this right?
Man, yeah, I think you're giving me too much credit. I mean, as everybody as they get older, you get about school and everything. Maybe nowadays, like, I don't care if you're riding the wave storm or whatever, but when I was younger, bodyboarding was like, I mean, it wasn't like loved or anything, but it was, like I said, there were a lot of heroes, a lot of people making it cool. It was a lot cooler than it is now. But it could be even the opposite of what you said. I wanted to hang on to the bodyboard to be cool, because I wanted to, like I was saying before, I was better at bodyboarding than I was at surfing, and I might have had more. It might have been a little bit to be cool. It might have just been to have fun because I was getting more waves. I don't know, but there was definitely some. I couldn't stand like I didn't like being terrible at surfing. Like for the pride reason and for the plain old, like, man, I ate it on that. On the bodyboard, I would have been like stalling in that. Actually, for a few years, bodyboarding, I didn't even go front. All I did was drop knee. I was like all over the drop knee, probably like the end of my bodyboarding.
So on a recent episode, we had Maria Fernanda from Mexico. Puerto Escondido. She's a water photographer.
I know her. Yeah, I met her before.
Dude,
Yeah.
seriously?
Yeah, I met her in Puerto. She turned me on to a really good physical therapist, really good masseuse there.
What?
I can't think of his name right now. But yeah, and her friend, there's a girl she shoots with a lot, who I think is like the world champion of body surfing. But we hadn't talked about body surfing yet, but body surfing is my everything. And it probably comes from bodyboarding. And back to the wave storm. Another thing about the wave storm, there's a lot of reasons I love the wave storm. And like you said, I was in early. I had ordered I'd gone in on a part of a shipping container full of BZs right before the wave storm came in, and I was trying to sell BZs in San Diego, because I was like, mostly I just wanted to get people stoked. I was like, everybody's missing out, and I could see it coming. I was like, every 10 years from now, at some point, all the pros are going to have one of these in their quiver, because anybody who doesn't have one's blowing it. These things, it's like surfing on a cloud. But anyway, all over the place as usual. But
it's
blows crazy my mind how much I enjoy the wave storm, and it blows my mind because I had a sport longboard. Since I've left town, Michael broke it in half, put it back together, and now Robert's broke it in half again. So it's kind of done. But this Stewart, it does a lot better turn than a wave storm. And I'm like, why the heck do I ride the wave storm and not the Stewart? But there's a lot of little reasons why I end up having more fun, even though it doesn't quite ride as good. But one of my mini theories is just like my all the fun me and Michael had crisscrossing in the whitewater on the bodyboard, riding 5 or 6 bodyboards glued together, just like, touches my soul or my inner child or something. I don't know.
And they're soft. They feel good. I always, you introduced it to me a number of years ago. Full disclosure, everyone listening, Dave and I go way back. I never touched one before. Then I rode yours, and I was like, wow, this is like another thing. And I want you to, as we're on the subject, what is with the hate the wave storm gets? Can you analyze that in surfing culture? Why it is that it is a hated thing?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. A quick way to go click on Joel Tudor's Instagram. You can read all about it. I love Joel Tudor. I don't agree with everything he says, but man, I appreciate a character. He's my favorite. He probably wouldn't like to see me paddling around then. But let's see, man. Just playing on. They catch too many waves. I mean, that's a problem right there. Like, I love to stand up paddleboard. I love to ride a wave on any vehicle possible. I like longboards, shortboards. They call body surfing pechito down here. Pechito. Any way to. I really want to get one of those remote control surfboards. I want to learn the foil. I got 3 days under my belt and exactly no flying done. I just no success. But what am I talking about here?
The hate of the hate.
Storm. Man, I'm not stoked to see a longboarder or a stand-up paddleboarder out one bit, Like, I'm just like, oh, the dude's gonna eat my cake, So that's fun. And then I don't know. I don't want to be negative and down on people, but bit of herd mentality and this and that. But like, whatevs, just ride whatever makes you ride what. What do I say? I tell my students this when they ask things. Listen to your heart, or whatever your little heart desires. Yeah, just ride whatever your little heart desires, man, and just get in where you fit in. You'll figure it out. Paddle over here, paddle over there. I try to like when you make a peanut butter sandwich, you don't clump it all in one area. If I'm on the SUP or the longboard, I'll usually get a pretty long ride, and I'll visit this peak, and then I'll visit that peak, and I'll visit this peak. Try to kind of even out, kind of spread out the hate, if you will. But what else?
I want to go back to Maria Fernanda and what she said.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So like the she shoots a lot of surfing, but she really loves bodyboarding as far as the people in that bodyboarding culture. Yeah. Like she kind of jives and meshes more with those bodyboarding people. And I asked her, I was like, what is the difference here between the cultures of bodyboarding and the cultures of surfing? Like, what is this difference? And I pose this question to you, like because they're out there doing the same thing, essentially playing in the waves, but there's a distinct mindset that's very different between the two groups.
Man, well, there's a lot of little things, but for one, man, it seems like bodyboarding's a little more dead in the U.S. and probably even more on the East Coast for a good reason. The waves there's not quite the waves to hold it up. But a lot of places in the world, it's cheaper, so it's just easier it's more accessible to a lot of people. And I mean, you ride a lot gnarlier waves. It just kind of attracts like kind of more hardcore people or whatever. There's a guy, I can't remember his name right now, but he's a former drop knee world champion, and I see him out here in Peru, and it's beautiful to watch him. It's so fun, but especially drop knee dudes. And I met two drop knee dudes down here. I can't remember their names. One of them's like at least a nationally renowned like bird expert here. And he's in punk bands, and he's just like, I guess it attracts rebels. Like, you wouldn't think it, but I think I remember a long time ago, I think it was Pitt Bodyboard Magazine. They were free at Surf City. I'd take those home, but I remember Christian Fletcher writing something on the inside about how I think he was friends with Paul Roach, but just saying at the time he was saying he got on more with bodyboarders than he did with surfers. Like he felt like more of them were into heavy metal and more of them were like I don't know, like more hardcore or whatever. Actually, another topic people don't love either, but I live next door to pro rollerbladers in San Diego, and they were awesome dudes. Like, completely changed my opinion of rollerblade. And I was never a hater. I mean, I was just like, I don't think it was that aesthetic to me, but you know, ride whatever you want to ride, you know, like whatever your little heart desires. But uh, bodyboarders, rollerbladers, these dudes aren't doing it for the chicks or the money. They're not doing it for the chicks or the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, and some of them might even be doing it just to be a punk. You know what I'm saying? Like, my ex-girlfriend Carrie, but she, for a lot of reasons, she wasn't trying to learn to surf. And one of the things was, it was like, she's just got that inner death metal person that's just wants to rebel, and surfing was just too popular. But I think there's some people that can't touch surfing or maybe skateboarding because of the X Games and stuff, you know, and some rebels get attracted over that way. But yeah, man, I love watching a bodyboarder. I mean, they use a different line and stuff. I get super excited to watch bodyboarders.
And really, the bodyboarder can go to a wave that a surfer can't go to.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't honestly. I just body surf. I haven't bodyboarded in forever, hardly. But I'm meaning to grab one. I occasionally get on one, but these days they're all too skinny and too small. I looked online. I think Jay Reel has a company, and he's got some kind of boat of a bodyboard. But man, I want one. I want one with some foam and to get out there every now and again.
Very, very nice. So let's just go back in time a little bit, Morris. You're graduating high school. You're ready to venture out in the world. You make it to the West Coast.
Yeah, man.
Right. I want you to talk about the aesthetic of the East Coast versus the West Coast in your mindset.
Man, the California has just always spoke to me. My parents took us on a quick little dip out there when I was in 8th grade, and somebody mentioned to me at the last second to bring my wetsuit. And I was like, wetsuit? Southern California, it's tropical. There's palm trees, you know? They're like, no, the water's cold. And I'm like, what? And and with my parents, my parents, Malibu, that's where to go. So I went and I bodyboarded Malibu. Michael and Robert held it down on the beach. I couldn't believe how long the rods were. I couldn't believe like the mountain from the water, and even better, just the electricity in the air or whatever. Then my parents got us back out there. I think it was Pitt Bodyboard Magazine. We found a picture of La Jolla Reefs. We're like, right here. And we turned up there, and my parents, man, awesome. But they just hooked me and Michael up. I think I was 15 or 16. I think I was 16. Michael 13, and they gave us like 24-hour bus passes and let us just explore San Diego. And we're like La Jolla Reefs, you know, and we're cutting through rich people's backyards and climbing over the fence because we can't find the beach access. And we somehow discovered wind and sea on our own, and we somehow discovered blacks on our own. But man, it was just everything, man. Just being in the street, like I could just feel this is like the source, you know. This is like where my music comes from. This is it. And then let's see. So when I was 19 years old, I rolled out there with my friend Joe. We were at Appalachian State, and we rolled out there in his like 1982 Chevy Suburban. When he picked me up, kind of a last minute thing, we put the seats flat and just picked the bed up at my parents' house. Just took the mattress with the comforter and everything on it, and set it in there. Figured we'd save money on hotel rooms cruising across the country. And the plan was to get there, get an apartment, get jobs at Subway, and live off eating sub. And we got there, and we applied at Subway, and Joe had like one of the first cell phones, or I think it was more of a car phone. It like hooked into the cigarette lighter or whatever. But Subway never hollered back at us till the end of the summer. And the cheapest apartment we could find was in OB. It was a studio for $500. And it was tiny. And if we did it, we were going to throw the bed in there and just keep sharing the bed. But $500, man. I think a new board was like $350 back then. So we just couldn't stomach it. We ended up sleeping in the car the whole summer, mostly surfing blacks, skating UCSD campus. But it was like, for a minute, I was like, there it went. the good old, I just peaked. It's all downhill from there. I accomplished all my dreams. It's cool. Everything's just gravy from here on out. But like, it's the good old, there's the good old days. Like it's not going to get any better than that. And but all right, bunch of background there. My rambling self. You asked me to compare the two. The I like how in San Diego, especially blacks, just boom, it just drops off, and there's rocks and all this stuff, and it's just bam, hits right into it. Where you're rolling home from Appalachian State, and it starts to get to these hills, and then you start seeing like little bits of swamp and everything, and then finally you get down. It's like my dad. When my dad gets in the water, he's never going to do a cannonball. He likes to really ease his way in there, and that's how the East Coast does. It's not in a hurry to get wet, And finally, when it ends, it goes nah. It has a little spoil islands, and then like finally, and it's got that long continental shelf or whatever. But it just eases its way in, and the people are more, like oh, when I get in the airport in Charlotte or whatever, and I just hear a Southern accent, like my blood pressure goes down. I just and it kind of goes with the water, and you gotta like wait. You gotta like, I don't know, wait on your waves or whatever. But back in California, I don't know, it's like I mean, the cultures go with the waves. I mean, I swear. I mean, look at the south end of Wrightsville, man. It's just in the people there, it's like it's cruisy, it's chillsy. And then look at Carolina Beach, bam, it's got that, it's shallower, it's a little more,
You go up
but
that bridge and then you go down that bridge and then you're in CB.
I love CB. I love all beaches, man.
We were on the beach in CB back in the summertime, and you were talking about just that it's only, as a plane flies, about 6 miles away from Wrightsville, but it might as well be a 6-hour plane ride away. Like there's that much feeling.
Same thing, especially in California. You get on your bike and you ride your bike from OB to Mission to PB to La Jolla, and not just the beaches, man. I love all of California. Going on a snowboard trip, just get out in the P in whatever tiny little town. Everywhere has got like distinct style and just like so close together, so many different cultures, and they're all like super unique. But anyway,
while we're on the subject of culture and philosophy here, you've done a lot of traveling. What kind of stands out most to you besides these two locations around the globe that kind of just like you look back, you're like,
I mean, I lived and worked in New Zealand, so that's the one that jumps out at me the most, man. I really loved living in New Zealand. That was really special.
Can you take us there?
Man, how do I describe New Zealand or put us in New Zealand? I thought, man, I got a little heat over here, a surf story. Things rattling around.
Okay,
let me. Okay,
go.
I got you. All right, we're in New Zealand. I lived in Wainui. It was like a awesome beach break. I guess they compare it to the one in France. I don't know how to pronounce it. It starts with an A.
Hogsdraw.
Oh, dude, you're a kid too. We don't know how to say it, but it's like a
no. Let me say one thing about Hogsdraw, whatever it is. Okay, I thought it was a pejorative like surf brand until like last year, and then I was like, I was on Instagram. I was like, what? This is a place. So yes, I'm a big kook, right?
Yeah,
DC.
man.
Yeah, there we go.
So yeah, it's one of the better waves in New Zealand. Maz Quinn was on the world tour. His brother Jay Quinn, they were my neighbors. But I mean, it's a ferocious beach break. Like even when it's kind of small, you just have no idea if you're gonna get I can't pronounce anything. Obliterated or not? Am I saying it right? Obliterated?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
Obliterated.
so it's like full commitment, like just throwing yourself over the ledge, like for even a small day. Lots of offshores, lots of barrels. Um, it is in the man. I had a crazy house right on the beach, and it didn't have a shower inside. I only had a shower outside, but we'd have these. I think they call them southerlies. This cold wind blowing my shower away, and it was just so raw. And man, it was awesome. Maori people, they just the like Pacific Islander people, man, super like honest and real. I've only been to Hawaii once for 10 days, but a lot in common there, just like real open and clear, and I would just hit it off with them really well. And another crazy thing I liked about New Zealand is it didn't have like a big difference between like the upper class and the lower class. Like like everybody's houses were about the same size, no matter how much money you had. I mean, the rich people's houses were just a little nicer. Their cars were just a little newer, but maybe in Auckland they had some fancy whips. But where I lived in Gizzy, it was like everybody just had some regular cars. And if you were rich, it was like a little bit newer, but there just wasn't that much difference. And my girl worked at the time, worked at the hospital, and it said like ethnicity or something, and they would just write Kiwi no matter which color they wore and stuff. And I mean, there's racial stuff and there's some stuff everywhere, but in a lot of ways there wasn't. And it was a sick place. But okay, so there's a lot of people know this, but there's more sheep than people, and it's kind of a lonely place. Talk about that cold wind. And oh man, okay. The New Zealand stories are starting to pop out now, but I'm just getting it down to just one little nothing of a thing. But this might be like the second time in my life I found out that like sometimes it's better to have a dream than get the dream. Like I think of myself as not a big partier. I'm getting up early to surf. I'm hardcore. But when I was living in that car in San Diego, I got 5 hours down into Mexico, I think Punta San Jose, just past Ensenada, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm sleeping in my sleep bag, surfing this point. My boy Cool Hand Luke's hooked me up with an old school caster. People in San Diego would know casters, but man, they're the best. Never had one that didn't ride good, but we're surfing this point break. We're eating lobster tacos from the fishermen right there. And after like 2 days, I was like, man, this sucks. I want people asking me to go to parties so I can turn my nose up at it and be hardcore. Like, this is boring. But God, that would happen sometimes in New Zealand. I mean, I'm just like coming out of barrels by myself. But okay, one coming out, and there's just a bunch of sheep around, and I'm like, I mean, it sounds like the dream, but sometimes, get really lonely and everything. But okay, one morning before work, my house is like, it's super freezing early morning in the winter there. But so I get a quick couple waves before work. But I come out of this barrel and I look up, and behind my house there's these like green hills, and there's this white horse galloping along the top of the hill. And it was just, I don't know, there's New Zealand for you. Come out of a barrel by yourself and white horse galloping on top of the hill. But it had a little bit of a drop, like like I got my dream here, and it ain't quite it. But I'd move back there in a second.
So you've been to Rotorua, right?
Hot Springs, dude. Kerosene Creek. Yeah, man. I would me and Carrie shared a car, so sometimes I would just I had to hitchhike a lot in New Zealand. There's vineyards around Gizzy, so I would people would always give me bottles of wine, but I would just give them away. But I'd go hitchhiking, throw some bottles of wine, burn a few reggae CDs, and the kiwi fruit, the golden kiwi, man, that stuff was good. But $5 a bucket, I'd have a bucket of kiwis out on my outside shower, wolfing down those golden kiwis. But throw all that in my backpack, grab my 510 placebo, and hitchhike to Raglan. And I'd always hit Kerosene Creek on the way, or especially if I had the van, I'd always sleep at Kerosene Creek and get me a good night. Did you hit Kerosene Creek?
That art piece by my my deck there, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, man, the best. But
so I bring
wait. Let me why do I got this backpack full of gear? It depends on how long a ride you give me. You give me a couple hours to get the wine and work your way down.
Yeah, I like that. So those of you who might not know this distance, Gisborne is on the east coast of the North Island, and Raglan is on the West Coast. And in between the two locations is a natural hot spring that has grown up as a large tourist community that has a lot of paid hot springs that you pay money to. But if you look in the tourist guide back when they had tourist books, you would find a place called Kerosene Creek, which was the only hot spring that was naturally occurring out of the ground, and it fed all the other paid concrete hot springs around. So you would go out into the forest from the trailhead and find a natural waterfalling, just beautiful hot water. And you get in this natural hot spring. And Dave, you are a hot tub to this day connoisseur.
Yeah.
Is this the location where you really discovered your passion for hot water?
Oh, hell no, man. Blockade runner hot tub, middle school, man. I jumped over that fence and crawled in that thing to punctuate every session pretty much from when I was like 13 to 30. Yeah, man, I've always been a fan. I hunt down the hot tubs all over the world, but Kerosene Creek might be number 2. Anybody looking to hot tub, Mammoth Mountain, man. Hilltop hot tub. It's or Hilltop something. But it's got 2 pipes, and you can adjust this thing, and it's overflowing, and you can adjust the temperature of the hot tub on the fly. But my yearly trip used to be 4th of July. They usually shut the mountain down then. I'd take a few runs on the groomers, and then I'd hike the half pipe until it got so slushy it didn't go. But maybe best skate park in the world at Mammoth also. And then I'd go camp out by that Hilltop hot tub and hit it in the morning, right when I wake up. But number 1 hot tub in the world, Mammoth.
So people these days, cold baths are all the rage.
Yeah.
And I understand it's painful that you get out and the dopamine's flowing, but the hot tub is an enjoyable experience. Can you tell us more about the hot tub aesthetic?
Man, I'm into the cold baths also. I'm always begging you guys to come over and get in my parents' pool in the middle of the winter. It's sick. But yeah, the hot tubs, man. I mean, why would you want to be doing anything else? Like a lot of my life, I almost always have a hot tub. My parents have one right now. I have one here in Peru. I have inflatable M spa from France. It gets to 108 degrees. I don't know if you can order them in the States. They'll get that hot. I doubt it. But let's see, man. My body's always hurt. I just like soaking in there, and I like to get like a milk jug full of water, maybe even 2 of them, and just go through it, stay in there until I'm like dizzy. But it's also the best way to hang out. I had when I lived in San Diego, I had the first house I lived with my friend's parents, and they had an unbelievable hot tub. And then when I went and got my own place, I would hang out there as much as I could. But I had every hot tub like in San Diego. Like I knew the temperature, I knew the codes to get in. The lifeguards at the UCSD gave me a code to slide into that one. I was all over the hot tubs, but I was like, why would you want to be at a bar rapping with people? You could just, grab a few beers. I used to bring my book of CDs. A lot of my CDs were like a little bit wet and skiffed, but take my book of CDs, my boom box, plug it in at the hot tub. And yeah, I mean, I lived in San Diego 10 years, and I think I jumped in the hot tub like over 90-something% of the time. I knew how to sneak in, what the temperature was, and what you could get away with at each one. Like some of them we could bring dogs, blast the music. You knew what you could. I had it wired. But okay, the aesthetic of hot tubs, that's all I got. I mean, what else would you be doing at night besides soaking in a hot tub? And like, it's not that hard to obtain. Like, how can I be soaking in a hot tub? Or anybody who's got a few bones in the bank and doesn't have a hot tub, what's going on there?
I love it, Dave. I love it. So you've been around surf culture for 3 decades, at least consciously. How has it changed for the good and the bad?
Um, there's definitely more people in the water, and that's not even necessarily a bad thing to me. But world's a gnarly place. We got to share it. Yeah, more people surfing, whatever. Get in where you fit in. There's plenty of waves nobody's messing with. Go surf in front of Dune Ridge or something if you don't like people. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to remember when I was definitely more girls in the water. That's cool. Like you said, the foam boards, and when I started, like everybody just rode a shortboard. Like I was saying before, we got that Sultan. That thing was a freak. Like you saw an old dude with a longboard every now and again. Um, I'm trying to think, man. When I was younger, are there more kids in the water now or more old dudes? Um, I mean, obviously the surf reporting's better. It used to just be just go and hope you roll up on something. I used to love calling the Surf City Surf Report. I think if they had some data, I think nobody called it more than me. I called it like 50 times a day from the crib at church. I'd say I had to go to the bathroom. They had this phone in my church, and I knew how to press a button to get a line out, and I'd call it and just call it again. Um, Man, I'd say the soul of it hadn't changed one bit. I don't know. I mean, a little, all kinds of little surface, this and that. But just get right at the spot and take off. Like who cares what year it is? Oh, wait, one little New Zealand. Before we found jobs, we took 2 laps around the North Island, 1 lap around the South Island, and we surfed all types of waves. But whenever we catch just a decent beach break, my my fantasy was always because I was homesick too. That's the only time I didn't see my family in 2.5 years. Like I lived in San Diego 10 years, and I've lived in Peru 8 years. But anywhere I've ever lived, I'm usually in town twice a year, and being a teacher for a good chunk of time. So but this was gnarly for me not being there. I got really homesick. But one thing I loved doing was I'd paddle out, I'd kind of squint my eyes a little bit, and I would pretend that I was at Masonboro and it was 1982. Or I didn't go over to Masonboro until about 88, 89 or so. Paddling my boogie board over there without my mom knowing. Drop me off at Crystal Mom. But anyway, I'd pretend it's like late 70s, early 80s. I'm in a time machine and I'm just at like some empty day at Masonboro. That's it.
Tell us more about this Mason Bro.
What's Masonboro? I'm sorry, just getting over being sick. Today was my first day back at work in a couple of days. All right, I need to. I have one. I was trying to think of what my best surf story is. I have a couple, but one of my favorites is about Bennett Casto. This isn't it. This is another one about Bennett Casto. He was my neighbor in Lansdowne. Used to boogie board, surf and skate with him. He's a couple years younger than me. He's Michael's age. But Michael told Bennett that if you went in Vito's Pizza and said Mason, they'd give you a free slice of pizza. It was like the secret word. Bennett rolls in there. Dude's just staring at him. But that's my Masonboro story. That's all you get. Nah, Mason.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so when a person is agitated, and a person is not a surfer, and then a person is a surfer, does the non-surfer do anything different in their life than the surfer does, or is it one of the same?
Man, you always are a little bit over my head, Sean. I have no idea what you're talking about half the time, but I love it. Okay, let me try to stand the question back to you and make sure I got it right. Okay, so everybody gets agitated. Does it make a difference if you surf or not with how you deal with agitation? Honestly, man, I'm a fence rider. You know this about me. I'm a fence rider on a whole lot of stuff. I can see both sides. I don't have like a strong opinion, but yeah, I would say in general, most people, I mean myself, it's no secret. Exercise is good for mental health. But for me, surfing's exercise and a little bit more. Like, I mean, it really, really can make a difference for me. That's why I want it to get more crowded. The world's a gnarly place, and like I want people to have that stoke. So I guess in that, yeah, in general, yes, yeah. If you surf, you're going to be less agitated. You're going to be more stoked. The flip side of it is a lot of people really, really like struggle with the crowds, or and surfing's really hard too. Um, I know some people that start when they're older. I bet it would be really, really frustrating. Like honestly, I'm one of the worst surfers anybody's ever met. If you set up like a math problem and divide it by how many years they put into it, like I don't care. I'm really proud of what I can do. I had to, like I said, 2 years to even stand up, and you know it. So I don't trip on that, but maybe because it's frustrating. But I guess the main thing is the crowds. Some people get at some people. I don't. And a lot of people kind of quit as they get older too. I don't know if they're bummed on. They're bummed a little bit. I know this has got to be happening soon. I'm about to be 46, but I'm surfing better than I ever have in my life. I'm wondering how I'm going to deal with it really when your body starts slowing you down. Maybe that's hard on people's pride, but I know for sure people get like really, really over the crowd and that kind of stuff. And I think surfing. There's always exceptions, but yeah, okay. My answer to the question is yeah. In general, 99% of people are more stoked if they surf. I kind of thought my whole life growing up that everybody was born to surf. Everybody would enjoy it as much as I did if they knew. And I don't really love pushing people into waves or teaching people to surf. Um, I, my girlfriend right now surfs. It's great, but it's not really my. I've had girlfriends that don't surf, and I'm like, perfect, like go do your thing. But I try to share it with them the same way I wouldn't wolf down some cookies in the car before I came inside. Like I try to share the cookies. I don't want people missing out. So yeah, I'm all over the place. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I think what we are saying is that surfing's hard, and it develops a resilience, and and I don't know, after a surf session where you're successful, when you're on land, you feel more powerful. You feel like you have this thing in you, and I think that might be why like people gravitate to it, because it gives you a power in yourself.
Okay.
But I digress. The um the the world we live in today, as you say, the surf is getting more and more crowded. Where are there still places to go where you won't find many people?
Hell yeah. I lived in San Diego 10 years. I had all kinds of there's a million. I mean, at Wrightsville, there's like I was saying, Dune Ridge. Nobody surfs down there, I mean, there's tons of places everywhere. But yeah, I had some math formulas in San Diego when the waves are doing this. Go here, go there. I had a great time. One of the most crowded, gnarliest places was South Mission Jetty near my house. But I figured out. I mean, one, I go there when it was blown out as shit and super windy, and it was still fun. And then I figured out you go there in the middle of the night. It's like the jetty's like the y-axis, and depending on how big it is, you could look at the silhouette of the thing in the night. And man, I mean, yeah, I got my last 2 years in San Diego. I might have been surfing more at night than the day. The South Mission Jetty's so sick, and just to be out there at night. Um, but you don't have to get near as crazy as that. I mean, it's super easy to find waves. Just the ocean's full of waves, man. Go get one.
Where do you want to go that you haven't been?
Europe. Never been to Europe at all, man. We were talking about whatever that place is in France. I met a dude in Puerto Escondido, super cool dude. He doesn't live there. He lives somewhere. He surfs big waves, but there's beach breaks near where he lives. And I hadn't talked to him in 10 years, but I remember him commenting on one of my pictures. I'm going to go scroll back there, click on that, and be like, I'm on my way one of these days. Yeah, France. Always wanted to go there. Taiwan. Always wanted to go to Taiwan. Been looking at it on the map forever. In fifth grade, the map was right by my seat. And I was staring at, looking at all those weird little islands and places and stuff. But for some reason, I was always staring at Taiwan. Um, yeah.
So we have social media. We see more than ever all the waves that are happening in a given day. How does one deal with seeing such just want and then deal with the FOMO?
Deal with what? What's
The
the last word?
FOMO. The FOMO.
What's FOMO?
Fear of missing out. You see the waves on the social media, but you can't attain them because you might be inland. You might be at a break where there's no waves. You might be at a break where the waves aren't that great. Well, what do you suggest?
I don't know. I mean, I know people have that problem. FOMO. Am I saying it right? Yeah, I don't get too much FOMO, man. I'm super grateful. I've caught so many waves. It's ridiculous. But as you know, I've had some horrible back issues, man. I was struggling from when I was 20 to 30. The whole time I lived in San Diego, I could like barely walk half the time. I mean, it was a battle to catch waves. But even hurting that bad, I still caught with I had my little formula. Big north, go here, big south, go there. It's flat, go there. And any day I could halfway move, I'd go wiggle into a few waves. And I caught a lot of waves then. Then I had a couple of back surgeries, but I had one that bumped me up a lot. And I lived in New Zealand, one of the most consistent places in the world, and I caught a heap of waves there. And now Peru is ridiculous. There's always surf here. And man, I'm so grateful for how many waves I've caught. And I don't trip at all. I don't really trip at all when I miss a session. Like sometimes I'm a little bummed if I'm stuck on the beach. I'm still like if I still have plenty of episodes where I can't surf. I got more wrong in my back now. I got my neck, shoulder kicking off. It's rough sometimes, but I just head down and mind surf a little bit, take the dog on a walk wherever it's pumping, and yeah, man, I know other people trip on that, but no, I don't really worry about it at all. I might be just a hair worried about we need to I don't know get on over to Puerto a few more times before I start getting older, because I am a little teeny bit worried that like the window to get the best barrel of my life might be closing, and I wanna like, make sure to. And when I say Puerto, man, I'm not trying to say I surf Puerto. I mind surf Puerto, except in the off season. But I love going there in the off season and pulling into what looks to me like the best sun skipper ever was, like on the regular.
Describe the concept of mind surfing more.
Um, I mean, just, I don't have anything too deep for you in this one, I guess. Just watching other people surf, just hitching a ride with them, just enjoying, picturing what you might do and this and that, or just, I don't know, just feeling the ocean, just I'm down there on the beach, sitting there with my dog, and I can just feel the swell, just feel the day.
Do you have to have ridden a wave in your life to mind surf?
Well, I don't have a maybe not. Probably, yeah. I guess probably not at all. I mean, I don't really have a context because I don't have another Dave that's never ridden away. But yeah, probably not.
So you could go surfing without getting on a board even in the water, maybe.
Yeah, I would say so.
So you could ride many sorts of waves and go surfing.
Sure. Are you saying like surf simultaneous waves? Like your vibe from your friend in the water, and yeah, definitely the vibe from the Oregon favorite with the trees, big green trees everywhere.
At the beginning of this episode, to bring it full circle, you talked about light waves, sound waves, and surfing those. Could you say that what we just did was surfing?
Sure. Yeah. I think oh man, this is making me think of John Cardiel, arguably maybe a lot of people say best skater of all time or whatever. He had a gnarly accident. He got hit by a car in Australia, or the trailer of a car, and got in a wheelchair like for a while. Now he can kind of limp around. He can roll a little bit. Didn't look, and he mostly rides those fixed gear bikes. He's a little older than me, and like not just pro skater, like the pro skater, and like the gnarly kind, not like the tech kind, like the huge going big kind. He goes bonkers on his bike. But man, it's epically later. Highly recommended. It's like a 10 super long, like 10 series thing. It's Vice magazine did it a long time ago. But at one point, he's talking about how he can still skate, and he talks about playing like the little finger football game. I never played it, but kids played it when I was in elementary school. You just fold up like a little football out of paper, and he's like, "Yeah, man, me and my friends can," and you just get into it, and you're just bobbing out, and he's like saying he can still skate, he can still get the same feel. So yeah, yeah. What they in Hawaii they say like talking story or whatever. That sure.
Well, Dave, you're a math guy. How has math played a role in your water life,
Um,
or has it?
it does for sure. All right. So, um, and I don't know how much to just start rapping on math and how cool it is. Like it. I thought it was okay when I first started teaching, but the longer I teach, the more and more epiphanies I have, and just like it's so true, and everything it connects together. Oh man, it's just it really, 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 really. I know you're not a math lover, Sean, but you don't even know, man. It's so beautiful, man. It's
Well,
like more beautiful than you can imagine. Like just think of surfing, when a dude pops up on whitewater and they're like, "Man, I'm loving it." Think of what's gonna happen when he gets on the stage. He's in heaven. Think of what happens if he gets in a big barrel. Like maybe he never will, but if he does, these days, maybe 5 or 6 years, the dude can learn how. I'm thinking more like two. So
let's nail this. Hold on. Surfline is nothing but math equations.
yeah,
The predictability of a swell is a bunch of math equations. So
well,
like, does that relate at all? Because I mean, yes, you're right. Math and me are like oil and water. I'm not there, but you are
yeah.
there, and that's why I want to know.
Well, sort of like Spicoli, everybody thinks surfing, you're kicking back, drinking a margarita on the past. A lot of work, to do board. And then a lot of days it's hard to get out, and people don't see that at all. They see surfing as nothing but laziness. And the same thing with math, man. It's got a horrible reputation, or an unjust reputation. And like there's so many people saying I hate math, and the other teachers who teach other subjects are saying I hate math. Your parents, your grandma, everybody hates math, and it's cool to hate math and out. But like I was saying, like whitewater, as you progress in surfing, progressing in math, you don't even know how beautiful it can be. But math, like skating or surfing, it can be like a lens for seeing the world. And I talked about San Diego, and everywhere I live, I have a math equation for catching the maximum waves. Like I just an if then, I don't know, like a logic of where to go, and that's a good thing. But I guess maybe even being too addicted to surfing can be a bad thing. I don't know, but the math has some downsides to it too. It takes over my head a little bit. Sometimes when I'm like have anxiety and can't sleep, I call it math brain, and I'm like I'm halfway in my class trying to explain something and can't explain it. I don't know, like I get carried away with the math, and where it hurts me in surfing, sure, is a lot of times I spend too much time counting waves. It's crazy stuff, and counting other people's waves. But I have a lot of fear and anxiety because of my back pain. A lot of times I don't want to, like, if I'm having a good session, I'm like, should I take my winnings and leave, or should I roll the dice some more? And it's okay if my back goes out, that's part of it. But and when the waves are really pumping, it's so nice. The math brain melts away, and I don't care what happens because I'm not going anywhere. But it's like when the waves are medium, I'm like, all right, or I don't want to overdo it with my shoulder. Some of these waves are really long paddle here, and I'm telling myself numbers, and I'm counting waves, and sometimes I'm like, stop that. And for some reason, also, I'm counting my strokes too when I'm paddling. I'm like trying to gauge where I should set myself up, and I'm like trying to tell when to stop, and I keep saying numbers. I'm like, dude, just drop that. I'm sure nobody else has that problem, but anyway. that's my negative on the math.
What is it about the math? Do you think it's something you're born with, or can this be a learned passion?
I think for sure it can be a learned passion. I mean, just gotta like, I don't know, take a step back and like drop the stereotype or whatever. Really, what math has to do with is skateboarding. I mean, they're like the same. Surfing's. I mean, everything can be seen through the lens of math, but skateboarding is like adjacent to math. It's right next door. There's not a lot like surfing is really about fun. It's wee. It's like going down a water slide, and there's a little bit of that in skateboarding. You ride down a hill, or sometimes you're carving around a pool, or maybe that 3 foot out in Hampstead, and you're like wee. You're having fun, for me, the big bulk of skateboarding is landing tricks, just the satisfaction. You do it over and over and over and you land it. And that's not like a wee type of fun. That's like a yes type of fun, like a satisfaction, like the board flips and catches, you know? And when you do the math, it catches and you know you got it, you know, like you can almost mark your own test, you know? But skateboarding and math, they're satisfying as opposed to wee. So, and I remember skating Matt Waddell's driveway on Kirby Smith in ninth grade in Woodbury Forest with Phil Panic, and Phil was like looking at this. We had like they had dragged a parking block back there, and there's a quarter pipe, a ton of little things to skate, but there's a parking block, and we're sitting there in the summer, we're covered in sweat, and we're just chilling, and Phil's like staring at that parking block, and he's like, man, think about the ingenuity of the human race, man. Just put some wheels on a board and slide and some surf wax on a parking block and like learn to slide it. And I was just like, yeah, you know, it's like, it's really beautiful that like I don't know how to say it, but pointlessness is beauty, you know, like in a way, like it's so cool that people are trying to slide that parking block for no reason, just for the sake of doing it, you know? And there's a lot of answers to like why you have to study math. You know, some people are like, well, we're never going to use this in real life or whatever. But one teacher who was next door to me, he would always say, we do it for the beauty and the challenge. And that's the same reason you mess with that parking block in Matt Waddell's driveway, you know? But I can't remember what the question was, but hopefully that answers it.
Who is your math hero?
Math hero. Rob Hicks at Noble. It's pretty gnarly. I went in his class one time and he had him doing this project and I was pretty blown away. Dr. Allison Tony. She grew up in Turtle Hall. Her older brother, I can't remember his name, but he's a gnarly surfer and he has some big I think he's Mike Greenwood's partner and they have some big coffee thing in Wilmington. But yeah, she is the best. I didn't know she was going to be a math person. She was just, I knew her I think I met her in 6th grade. And then I think I ran into her in the airport one time and I might have found out she was a math teacher then, but I went to UNCW for my master's and man, she blew my mind. She was such a good teacher and just had so many amazing ways to put it. One of the things she did, Mesopotamian number system, I think. You know how like we get to 9 and then it rolls over when you hit 10, it rolls over, you know, we're based on 10s or whatever. This thing was based on 36s. You get to 36 and it rolls over. And then the second set, which would be like the teen, like or 11 to 19, you know, the second round, or the 2-digit numbers. Now, I guess it would be like 10 to 99. The second set of them, it went to 38. And then from then on, it went to 36 again. And the way to say the numbers were like these canoes and dots. And it was like the worst thing to ever happen to you to try to understand this type of math. It's just like, what are you talking about? You know? And I remember some of the kids in the class were so irritated. And they're like, why are we doing this? And they're like, I would never, ever show this to my kids. And I'm like, nah, man, we're not supposed to show this to our kids. We are our kids now. This is what, you know, algebra felt like to Sean. You know what I'm saying? Like making us do that Mesopotamian math. Gnarly. But yeah, Dr. Tony, woo, she's the Kelly Slater of math. Oh, one more Dr. Tony story. Blew my mind, man. I love telling kids it's okay to make mistakes. Like I don't have any tattoos, but I think you took a picture of me. I was thinking about if I had to get a tattoo, I have that heart drawn in there, but I have mistakes written in the middle of it. It's all about like learning from your mistakes. And I get, as you can feel right here, I get super excited. I'm thinking 2 steps ahead. I make heaps of mistakes. And that's like the best thing about my teaching. And the kids can correct it. And I'm not embarrassed about it at all. And that's where the learning happens. But one time I was having trouble with some kind of math problem that was like pretty low level. It might have been a middle school math problem. It was for some kind of paper I was writing or whatever, but there was something that was tricking me up. And I took it to Dr. Tony, who's the best mathematician I've ever met. And this was so huge for me. She's like, I can't remember how that works. She grabbed a textbook and had to reference something. And it was like so beautiful to me that Dr. Tony doesn't know everything. Like it's totally cool to like math, like it's like tools and learning how to work on cars. Not that I know how to do that, but like, and you might forget, but then you figure it out again, or you know what to reference. You're like, I know it's not this tool, it's one of those two. Let me check the book or whatever. And it was so sick to me that it was like okay to be wrong. And the school I work at right now is it's one of the top schools in South America, and I got in by like my toenails. Man, these guys are gnarly. And a lot of times I have to ask my colleagues for help, like, hey, I think it's like this, I think it's like that. And about maybe 25% of the time, some of these superstars don't know, and they have to pull a Dr. Tony and reference something. And it makes me feel so good that I'm not a complete donkey, that like they don't know it either. But it's like it's a really important thing to pass on to the kids and everything. Like you don't have to, it's okay not to know everything.
Dude, and that is so true. And the key word is yet, because you don't know yet, and you can find it out. And there's no sense beating yourself up because you don't know everything. No one knows everything, and you can change your mind later too if you think you know something. But I digress. Let's talk about skate and calculate.
Yeah, man. Here we go. January. You got a kid in 8th grade. www.skateandcalculate.com. We got an hour of 8th grade math, and then an hour to do your thing. If you want to skate, if you want to just hang out, want to do some homework, whatever. But yeah, we're gonna be doing it, and it's math. It's not exactly math tutoring. It's kind of like preventative tutoring. It's kind of like instead of focusing on patching up your holes in the game, it's like progressive. We're trying to follow the New Hanover County, the same curriculum, but we're just trying to hit them with the concepts a week or two ahead of time. And we can really take our time, get conceptual. And the idea is the kid's going to roll into class. He's going to have a little teeny bit of a head start. He's going to have a better experience with math. He's not gonna end up like Sean, like no. He's gonna feel it, have a better experience, which obviously will lead to a better experience in high school and beyond in math. But not just math, because when you're killing it at math, you feel smart, and that's gonna bleed over into your other subjects and maybe even to life or whatever. But yeah, eighth grade's gnarly. It gets more abstract. And the kid, it's just such a bummer to get on that train where you're like always behind, always frustrated. Like it's hellish to feel like you're messing with Mesopotamian numbers. We're gonna try to get them ahead of the game, but yeah, you got an 8th grader, holler at me.
Where are you doing it?
17th Street. Thanks, Will. Muchas gracias. They got a private skate park back there in the warehouse, and we're gonna get our math on in the warehouse.
What a great location, right next to UNCW on College Road, right in front of Sam's Club, as I believe.
Yeah.
Dave, can you make a special exception for a 6th grader and a 3rd grader? Come on, man.
Man, just come hang out, like let the 3rd grader kind of a little bit, come out. It's like a 1-hour skate session. come out and roll around, and then kind of like lay on a yoga mat or whatever, play with some paper, soak up 15 minutes of math and cut. The sixth grader can probably just roll. I mean, the class is designed for eighth graders. If you had a ninth grader who maybe, even though that's not really my thing, maybe in the future it will, but I'm starting with just focusing on eighth grade. But if you had a ninth grader who's a little behind and just wanted to, brush up their foundation, they could cruise out. But really, really, a real good person for the class would be a seventh grader who wants some challenge. Because in eighth grade, the top seventh graders, they skip the Math 8 course and they go right to Math 1 or Algebra, the ninth grade course. But they still, at least when I was teaching in North Carolina, they still had to take both end of year tests. And there were, the Math 8 wasn't so hard for them. They're working above it. There were a few topics that could be left out and a little fuzzy. So I remember that was kind of stressful for them. But yeah, so if you had a super seventh grader, they might want to come cruise out. Maybe a sixth grader who's really keen. But really, the thing right now, we're just focusing on eighth grade.
So are you is it a lesson format, or is it kind of like everyone's at a desk and you're walking around? Like, how do you visualize this?
Yeah, I'm gonna have 3 tables, and I might slide the numbers around. I mean, we got to kill it. Like we're here to save the world. We're here to make the world a better place. Like I mean, I'm only doing the class 1 day a week to really tweak it and get it perfect. But the idea is 3 tables with 3 kids at each table, and it's not too much different than how I teach a regular class. Like I see myself as a DJ, and I have my set list. We're starting with this jam, and we're working our way to this to really getting the party jumping, And as we go, oh man, this is too slow for him. I can skip forward, or I can slow it down. I'm trying to sort of write a textbook, and I'm gonna have my problems and have my set list, and just let them do problems, and kind of same thing I do in class in a normal class, just with smaller, less groups. I try to I taught at K-3 Community College a long time ago. I taught this like supplemental accounting course, and they gave me this crazy training where you were supposed to teach the entire class without ever telling them anything, just asking them questions and leading them to it. And that's a little idealistic, but I try to use that as much as I can. I'm trying to stimulate the conversation and get them to figure it out, and I can't just ask questions. Sometimes I got to throw them a bone or whatever, and then get the kids up front explaining it to each other. And yeah, the idea will be like, we're not in any rush. We can scoot back and just say, like, what are we doing and why does it work?
So you're making math cool,
taking it to the streets.
Are you thinking of getting any UNCW pre-teachers in there to help you out?
Yeah, I've thought of that. I remember I had to put in, when I was getting my master's over there, I had to put in a bunch of volunteer hours, and I know which teachers I'm going to go hassle, and I'm going to tell them which kids to send me, because when I was at Noble, man, I hate to be negative, but man, they sent me some duds. some people playing on their phones and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm going to try to cherry pick a few good ones to come over there and take some laps. And they can. I'm not a perfect teacher at all. There's some things I rip at and some things I'm weak at. But yeah, I think it can be a win-win. Probably fish for a few of those guys to come over and help.
So do you think this might be a business model you could take onto the internet, as far as branch it out bigger than Wilmington?
The internet, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna try not to get carried away. I've thought of like phase 1, phase 2, and I've thought of a couple phases, but I'm gonna try to not get carried away. Like phase 2 is gonna be like as far as I'm gonna go. We'll see, but I don't want to let it get too out of my hands. I want to keep it small, and I want to keep it like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna crush it.
Parents, skate and calculate. It's coming January 24th. Dave's got a web. 23rd. Yep, 23rd. Get your are you keeping a cap on how many kids?
Yeah, we got room. We got two classes, so 18 tops, so 9 in each class. I'm doing a class at 4 and a class at 6, and then like a skate jam from 5 to 6. I mean, what am I even talking about? I got a class at 4 and a class at 5, and yeah, check out the
What
website. It'll make sense. There's a little schedule.
beautiful. Skateandcalculate.com.
All right. Hey, I feel like, are we fading out here? Are we rolling?
Yeah, we're wrapping it up. I have one more question for you.
Okay, before the question, I got to go back to Bennett Casto, the dude who was standing there at Vito's Pizza waiting for his free slice. I got a couple of my best plays ever here. I don't think I hit many of them or any of them, but that's okay. We'll save it for we'll save it for next time. But there was one I really wanted to sneak Bennett in. We'll get this one with Bennett's great. Okay. We're on the boogie boards. We're on our $200 Mantas. Phil Williams was sponsored by Manta. I got one kick down for $40, had a big bubble in it where it got in the sun. Actually, that's all I ever got was the $40 one with the little like a what's it in cars when the air bubble, what's the thing called? The
airbag.
Airbag, yeah, it had a built-in airbag for impact, a big old bubble right in the middle of it. But it was a sick one, this Manta. But my brother had new ones from Surf City. They're from Australia. Manta they're the sickest. That didn't have anything to do with anything. But I'm in 9th grade, so Bennett and Michael are in 7th grade. And Crystal Pier is much longer at the time. And on the south side of the pier, there was always the sickest left that came off the pier. And but we weren't getting many of those lefts this day. There was a dude, I don't know if I should say his name or not, whatever, but Josh Buttball, he's a sheriff now. He was a senior and he was tough, man. He had some tattoos already, I think, his senior year. He skated, he surfed. He had an earring, he had long hair, and he was just a bad dude. I remember John Blanchard, great skater and real like ballsy dude. He shot him with a water gun at school, and Josh just turned around and spit on him. But you don't mess with Josh. You give him his room. There are a couple other dudes over there with the left, and we're kind of sitting to the side. And okay, I think about Bennett, man, not graceful. When he as a surfer, even on the bodyboard, the dude could not finish a wave without maximum splash. Like he was a competent surfer and everything when he was a few years past this, but he never I remember I really was proud when I could kick off a wave, the board in my hand, back to paddling. I don't want to like yard sail out the end of the wave, but Bennett, power yard sail, like just plays biggest splash, and he'd usually throw like a in there with it. But this was always every wave you ever caught. So anyway, we're waiting for scraps over at the south side of Crystal, and a bomb comes off the pier. Josh drops in, and I look, and Bennett just goes like he didn't see Josh, and he cuts off Josh, and I just like, and then Bennett was kind of a like me, like a bit of a clown and stuff. And Bennett decided this time would be the time to yell, "I'm an airplane!" and throw both his arms out like he's an airplane, and dropped in straight like that and just crashed right into Josh. The wave breaks on both of them. They're completely tangled. Like I can't even imagine. Like all crushed into them underwater. And then Bennett comes up with his normal flailing his arms. And Josh comes up like holding it, and Bennett's little arm leash is wrapped around his throat. And every time Bennett's flail his arms, it's jerking Josh's neck. Josh is got his fingers in there, and that's where my memory ends. But I know, I mean, what are you gonna do? You're in 12th grade. You can't stomp a 7th grader. I mean, nothing happened. I can't remember exactly how it went, but it was I don't know, one of my favorite experiences in the water of all time. Just watching Bennett Casto choke Josh Buttball.
That is a good one. That is real good.
Yeah,
Dave, Last question.
Yeah. I know it's going to be something I don't understand or can't answer, but give it to me.
What's the meaning of life?
You bastard, man. What do you got? Stuff. Yeah. Nobody knows. Okay, hold on. Let me try to come up with something. Um, Dang it, Sean. How you do this today? We might got to cut the podcast right here. I'll try to say something. All right. I'm gonna I'm gonna man, I'm a terrible conversationalist. 90% of everything I say to you, or to anybody when I'm talking to you, it's a pre-canned speech. And I found one I'm gonna hit play on. You know, it's garbage. I wish I could come up with like original stuff I've never thought before or said before. Um, but I think a while back, maybe a year or so ago, we talked about doing one of these podcasts. You asked you like what like the big point of it was or what we were looking for, and you said it was like something close to that, but like there's a message you're trying to give the world or something you're trying to say to the world or whatever. But okay, um, I'm a fan of absurdity, like Josh getting choked by Bennett and things like that. But I like I'm on a in my life. I've always been on a mission for the real and for the unique and for the special stuff, you know, like Kerosene Creek or whatever. Like I'm trying to in surfing, man. We didn't really talk about it, but what is surfing, man? It's W.K. Kennedy in a drop top pickup truck. You know, it's like it's the characters. You know what I'm saying? But when I'm listening to music, when I'm reading books, when I'm looking at art, I'm looking to be confused. I'm looking to be shuffled. I'm looking to say, you know why I'm going to figure that picture? You know what? It's and you just feel like that bit of confusion, that little bit of shock or whatever, you know. And that's what I'm looking for. And I feel like I look like I'm kind of a unique dude or whatever, but man, I got my habits and my routines, and I think that like the world gets a little boring or something, and it gets kind of stale, and you need things that make you that confuse you or shuffle you up a little bit. And I'm looking for that, and I'm trying to give that. You know, like I think it's important to like stir things up just a little bit. There's I think from the Blood Sugar Sex Magic came out when I was in 8th grade. That Chili Peppers, I think the song's called If You Have to Ask or something. But he's like, I was born to storm on boredom's face. And especially when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, I was born to storm on boredom's face. Now I'm a little tired or a little older, but it's kind of like that. Like I don't know, man. I'm looking to shake it up just a little bit, or just like I don't know if I'm quite getting that articulated, but that's yeah, that's all I got.
That's one of the best I've gotten in 24 episodes of Speaking from Water. And that is your 24th episode, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Dorosko, thank you very much for spending your valuable time with us in Peru. You only have a few more weeks. I hope these 4 weeks are extra special for you. Domino, thank you for joining us also. Domino, ladies and gentlemen, is Dave's dog. Dave, tell us a little bit about Domino before we go.
I am the domino. You are not the domino. All right. We are the champions. We are the champions of the world. Of the world. Yay. You got to cheer. He'll be embarrassed. Yay.
So you found Domino on the streets, is this right?
Yeah, man. Right out here. I was walking back from a party on Christmas. Actually, he's a Christmas miracle, aren't you, buddy? But yeah, I found him. I thought he was lost. Put up some posters, couldn't get any responses. Took him to the vet. They told me he'd been in the street for a while. And I'd always wanted a dog, but I needed to settle down before I had one. And finally, I don't know, I should, you know, whatever. I'm super stoked. Like, should have done it sooner, but
How many times has he been to America?
6 times. He's been to Costa Rica once. And what you know about the dirty South, dummy? I've been there 6 times.
Very impressive, Domino. I thank you, Dave, for this time you spent, and I look forward to seeing you soon here in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina.
Yeah, man. Miss you guys.
Miss
Can't wait
you.
to be home.
And I can't wait to enroll my students in your math class.
Yeah, man.
All right. Peace.